Hey folks, and welcome. I'm Exterminator, and thank you for joining me again for another video here. And today we are going to be going over and clarifying when the Factorio Expansion DLC, Factorio 2.0, whatever you want to call it, is releasing, and what will be included for the paid version of it and the unpaid content update that goes with it. In every single one of my Friday Facts discussion videos, I've seen several questions, pretty much in every video in the comments, asking these questions. Like, are we going to get incremental updates, all like with these features kind of rolling in little by little up until the full release of 2.0? Some people wondering if these features are released now, and then people asking if all of this is going to be paid, if all of it's going to be free, what's going to be what. And I just want to clarify that here in a single video and try to answer, hopefully a lot of those questions some of you may have. So first off, let's just start with the big one. When is the expansion releasing? Will there be incremental updates up until that point? We don't have solid answers on an exact date. The devs have not given that yet. However, in the Friday Facts, kind of their welcoming back Friday Facts, they posted near the end of August, which, first mentioned the expansion in more detail here. They said that it would be like no less than a year until it would be done. So with that in mind, dates, times can move and such, but with that in mind, I'm putting it probably late Q3 or Q4 of next year, 2024, when the expansion will come out. And I know it's a long time from now. It's a very long time for me to wait as well. But, we can see with every one of these Friday Facts that they're just putting so much work and thought and love into this that there's obviously just so many things going into this and so many moving parts that it is bound to take them a while. So that's generally when I would assume it's going to be coming out. Again, maybe they finish early, or maybe it gets pushed again, which I really hope not. But that kind of leads us into the bit about incremental updates until then, with any of these features. And the answer is there won't be. So none of these things that we are discussing in current Friday Facts, like all of my Friday Facts discussion videos back until that August one. So I believe that one was Friday Facts 373, the Space Age. From that one forward, all the new ones, including ones like for the rest of this year and most of next year, that discuss the expansion, anything related to the expansion won't be coming out before the expansion actually releases. So it's not going to be, like additions to 1.1 up until a full release or anything like that. What maybe kind of a little bit like that might happen is they likely will have some sort of like beta testing stage, like a closed beta where they maybe invite a few dozen people or something to test it, or maybe a couple hundred people. I don't know how big they want to go, or maybe they don't even want to do the closed beta testing anymore. They mentioned that initially in their steps for like development up until release. They did mention like a closed beta phase, but I don't know if that still is on the table or not. So for those people they choose, if they do that, then obviously they would maybe get access earlier and have some, like most of the features, but maybe not everything's done or what have you. But in terms of public releases, we're basically on 1.1 up until the day that the expansion releases. Okay. Now, moving into the paid versus unpaid part. Now this, I obviously don't know 100% exactly every single thing that's going to be in the paid part versus the unpaid part. A few things they have explicitly mentioned will be like in one or the other. But based on what they've mentioned, I can pretty much surmise and assume generally what type of stuff, even in Friday Facts we haven't seen yet, what type of stuff might be in which part of it. So before we get into that, just a clarification of how this will work, because there may be some confusion here. My understanding is Factorio 2.0, DLC, whatever you want to call it, when it releases, there will be a content update, Factorio 2.0, basically a content update or release that will be available to everybody. And this will be obviously the free features. And with that, at the same time, unless something changes, of course, but at the same time, the DLC part, like the paid part of it, will also release, which will include the features, like all the space age and all the stuff that you pay for. And I'm pretty sure in a Friday Facts at some point in the past, I couldn't exactly find where it was, but I'm like 95% sure they mentioned the expansion will be like $30 or $35. Don't quote me on that, and if any of the devs are watching, I apologize if you didn't say that. I have it in my head, and I could have sworn that was said. I can't find exactly where, but again, that could change though. Even if they did say that, it could change. Like, there's inflation, there's bumps along the road, whatever. It could be $40, $50. I don't know the exact price, but honestly, I don't see any reason to have a problem with or be complaining about anything really being behind a quote unquote paywall, because first off, not everything will be. There will be a bunch of stuff that is just free, but then also, this is a Factorio dev team we're talking about here. This is not some of these other studios, even AAA studios that release these bug-ridden, half-finished, or not completely finished games for $70. Like, the Factorio team does very good work. They release things very complete, very well done, just feature rich. And I mean, honestly, if it's $50, $60, $70, I would pay it happily, because we're just getting so much. Like, you have to keep in mind that the expansion is basically going to be as much content as the current base game. So we're basically going to get just a whole base game again on top of what we already have. So, even if it, like I said, if it's 30, 35, 40, whatever dollars, I don't really see an issue paying that, because it's going to be a bunch of content and it's going to be really good content. Okay, so sorry, now that rambles over, what is going to be separated? So I kind of like to separate this into quality of life type features and more like just hard, maybe hard's not the right word, but just completely new additions to the game. So for the content that will be available just with the general public update for everybody for free, with 2.0, this would include things, along the lines of the robot optimizations in Friday Facts 374, smarter robots, things like the new rails, ground rails, not the elevator rails, but the new like all the tighter rails you can build, the S turns and stuff, in Friday Facts 377, abstract wiring, and 379, the Combinator stuff, remote view to some degree. I don't know if it's entirely everything in there would be, but stuff like that. Logistic groups, what I'd imagine would be just a quality of life feature added for everybody. And then super force building that we went over here just yesterday, or maybe not yesterday, maybe it's a few days ago now, but the latest Friday Facts from recording this video, that type of stuff is basically what I would assume, and some of it they specifically said will be in the free content update. Now, for the part that you pay for, this is going to be the big, meaty stuff, like space, space platforms, space travel, different planets, new science packs, the elevator rails. Those, they did specifically mention that the elevator rails will be part of the paid expansion, which this may be one of the more controversial things. Personally, I'm totally fine with that. It's a huge new thing. To be completely honest, I would pay $30 just for that. Like, if there was no space or anything, if they were just like, here's a DLC with elevator rails, $30, I'd pay it. I may be insane, but this is such a huge thing, and there's so many possibilities that's totally fine with me. And then things like quality, the quality modules and quality of things, which I know is a very controversial topic on that, but that's going to be a paid part. Think some of the research maybe in terms of, I know they're adding like productivity research for items, so you can get like productivity researches for your rocket control units, so that those just passively have a productivity, part of them. That maybe I feel like would be part of the paid part. I'm not sure. And then going forward with Friday Facts we haven't seen, just kind of, if you're wondering, like when we go over the video, when we do the videos for these, or when you look at the Friday Facts, I like to separate those into the two different groups. Like, is this a, kind of a behind the scenes quality of life, not brand new feature, that's not connected to anything type of deal? or is it a brand new feature that's not connected to something we currently have, such as space or different planets, you know? So the really big stuff going to be in the pay part. The other stuff, probably not, maybe not all the other stuff, but that type of thing, you know, could be expected to be in the free update. So hopefully that clarifies everything for everybody. I know this went a little long, but I did want to just try to answer any questions people might have lingering with this. And of course, none of this is like completely solid information. Like I said, it's not just 100% this, 100% that, but generally, this is kind of what to expect based on what we've given so far. And I think that's totally fine. Again, you know, whatever they want to charge for the expansion, I think is totally acceptable. And just one last clarification with the quality, because I've seen some concerns with this as well. Even if you do buy the paid DLC and get the quality, this is something that they have specifically mentioned that can just be turned off. Like, my understanding from what was, I forget the exact Friday facts, but it was in a recent one where it's like something you can almost just turn off, I think, when you make a game, essentially. So in your map settings, when you go to choose stuff, I think you can just turn them off there. Like if you don't want to play with them, period. Or even if that's not an option, you can just not use them. Like, you know, that's a whole other topic. But, you know, don't think that like you have to get these quality modules and doing RNG and stuff you don't like to complete the game. That's not the case at all. Even if you can't turn them off completely and they do show up, you could just not research it, or you could, I mean, you know, whatever. You could probably just not research it, but it's not like you're going to be forced to play with these. And obviously this would be the case with everything. For some reason, if you don't want to use elevator rails, you certainly don't have to. But that's going to do it. If you do have further questions, or you think I'm like way off base on something with this, or you see conflicting information, definitely let me know in the comments. I always like to hear that stuff. And if this was helpful, definitely feel free to leave a like. If you're new, welcome. And feel free to subscribe as well to keep up with future content. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.